All right, everybody. First of all, I really enjoyed that last session. I just spent the last 5 minutes just sort of checking with myself, my inner self. I often speak with audiences about the physical body, but what actually is happening all the time is our brain health, our mental health is affecting our physical body. So it's very connected, the mind and body. It's actually not a connection, it's the same thing. Um, so today we're going to kind of switch gears a little bit and talk about ergonomics. Ergonomics is a study of how to fit the worker to the workstation. So I am, just to let you guys know who I am, my name is Janelle. My name is Dr. Janelle Dong. I graduated, I'm from America. I came here with my husband in 2008. We graduated from chiropractic school and quickly moved here right after we graduated. We currently own three, soon to be four clinics in Singapore. So I spend a lot of my time, although physically working on patients, actually about 80% of my time is stuck on computers and laptops. And so because we all here are mostly desk bound, today we offered a free posture scan outside. So for those of you that haven't done your scan, I will go over that after this talk. It's really important to see for yourselves visually what is going on because a lot of us don't spend time in front of the mirror checking ourselves out. We can't see ourselves from the side. So the scan that we have outside is a complete picture of you from the front and from the side to understand what it is that I'm going to be talking about today. Okay, so first I want to introduce you to one of our patients. Her name is Hairong. This patient comes to us in COVID, and she came to us because she was complaining of back pain, headaches, shoulder pain. She is a teacher. She's a Chinese tutor. And one of the things that we noticed and we asked her, first of all, when she first came in, is how many hours a day are you spending in front of the computer? How many days a week are you sitting? And she mentioned that she sits about 5 to 7 hours a day, about 6 days a week. And so for the past over 6 years, actually, she had back pain, low back pain, which led to also headaches. And like most of us, we usually ignore these symptoms. We usually think that they are very common. And because we sit in front of the computer all day long, we should have these symptoms. But I am here to tell you guys that symptoms and pain is something that we do not want to wait to happen before we take care of our health. So usually when pain and symptoms come, it is usually the last thing to come and the first thing to go. So about 100% of the people that we see in our clinic is that pain and symptoms actually come the very, maybe it's been 10, 15 years of building more and more stress in your spine, in your body. And then pain is actually our friend. It's a way for our body to tell us that something is happening. So usually we are all, since young kind of programmed to think that if we have pain, that is when we seek help, right? But nowadays we are in a crisis in healthcare. In that way is that we are as a society, we are getting worse and worse and worse. So we're seeing more rates of cancer, more heart disease, more stroke, more diabetes. As a whole, worldwide, we are getting sicker and sicker and sicker. So there is something going on. There's something wrong with our healthcare system. So we all have to work together for ourselves, for our family, to know what prevention means. Because this is the other side of the spectrum, is that we need to educate our kids, we need to educate our loved ones, we need to educate our neighbors on how to prevent things from happening in the first place. Because no GP, no medical doctor will be able to sit with all of us for an hour, for 2 hours to explain how to prevent illness and disease. So today, it may seem like I'm going to talk about just about posture, but this goes much deeper into our health. Okay. So just like Hairong here, we all know that we don't want to wait for pain and symptoms to come. So this is why in our office, we do what we do for people like Hairong and for people like all of you here today, is I am going to spend the next 15, 20 minutes to educate you guys on different ways that we can incorporate movement and we can incorporate healthy tips so that we prevent musculoskeletal issues, but also how to increase productivity in our workplace, how to make sure that technology is not ruining our nervous system and our spine. And hopefully from today, this talk usually, I could take about 3 hours. I've tried to compress it in the next 20 minutes. So I need somebody in this room to tell me when I kind of go over. Okay, so let's talk about the importance of understanding ergonomics with a female lens, which is so super important. The reason why we have to talk about this with a female lens is because even though in our workstations, our companies may provide us with chairs, with computer stations, with desks, usually these ergonomic tools are actually made specifically for larger males. So even though we order the best, most expensive ergonomic chair, it still is not actually correct for most of our female frames, especially in Asia where the frames are much smaller. Even though we buy these ergonomic chairs, most of you may feel like it is still too big, okay? Or the desks or the computers or the chairs. So we're going to try to understand how we can situate our workstation and our posture to fit and to make sure that our spine, our nervous system is healthy. So some shocking statistics to start with is that women who are seated for more than 7 hours a day, which is probably, well, let me get a raise of hands. So how many people in this room sit for longer than 5 hours a day? Raise your hand. You're sitting now, so this is at least 4 hours. How many more than 7 hours? About more than 8 hours a day? Anybody? More than 9 hours? Usually it's a between 7 to 9 hours, I would say, a normal working day. And then what do we usually do when we go home? Anybody? Yeah, we sit more. So we want to relax, we want to chill, we want to eat dinner with our family. We may sit in, lie down our bed and watch Netflix. So all of these things have one thing in common, and that one thing is that they are all sedentary activities. Okay. And so this is the root cause of most common aches and pains that we see in our clinic is this sedentary behavior. And unfortunately, for most of us, when we work 98 hours a week, for instance, most of that is spent sitting for long hours, okay? And so if you are seated for more than 7 hours a day, 47% are more likely to suffer from symptoms of depression. And there is a so these are all research articles. And the reason is because and I'll go over this a little bit later, but the reason is because the act of sitting, folding yourself in a 90-degree angle, sitting with slouched shoulders, your head down, is commonly seen in people who are sad, who are depressed, who are anxious, who are fearful. So these are very common emotional components to physically putting yourself in this posture. Okay. So early mortality, meaning how long we're going to, so our longevity. So women who were sedentary, sitting more than 6 hours per day, were 94% more likely to die during that time period. So there was a study that covered about 13 years of people who were sitting for long hours. So this is a very, very interesting statistics. The lack of employee productivity. So research shows that 70 to 80% of working adults in Singapore suffer from some form of back, shoulder, and neck pain. So just get a raise of hands. How many of you guys in the last, say, 6 months to 12 months have experienced neck pain, shoulder stiffness, tightness in the lower back, headaches, migraines? It's most of us. So this is really, and this is the problem is that it's very common, but it is not normal to experience these symptoms. Okay. If I gave you a Panadol for that pain, it will go away most likely. But is your pain due to the lack of Panadol? Is that what your body is missing is Panadol? And then when you take it, it goes away. No, there is something underlying going on with your body to cause the pain to come about. Okay, it is your body's alarm signal to make sure that you pay attention and to get help. Okay, so I want to show you these two pictures. So this is very obvious, right? So which picture do you think causes worse health? The one on the left or the one on the right? So most of you would say the one on the right? Smoking. But I'm here to tell you that there are research studies that show that sitting is now the new smoking. It is surpassing the death rates of smoking. And I can send you these journal articles that show why that is and the significance of sitting for long hours. It is detrimental to our health in many, many ways. So we want to kind of spend the next 10 minutes talking about ergonomics. I'm going to go cover 4 things. Awareness. I'm going to demonstrate on the stage how you should be sitting in front of your computer. We're going to talk about interactive movements, and we're going to talk about wellness strategies within your organization. So we go to companies once or twice a week to speak with your HR, speak with employees on how to rearrange your company so that you add wellness opportunities within the organization. Because it cannot just be an individual. It cannot be an individual decision. It has to be a team environment. We all know that when we work together as a team, big things happen and change happens. When we have to do it ourselves, it doesn't really happen as fast. So if you guys are sitting here and you are involved in HR, I highly recommend that you connect with us so that we can come to your work, so we can assess what is happening with your workplace, what is happening with their workstations. We can talk to your employees about how they can take better care of their health and their spine while they are sitting at the computer for long hours. Okay, so let's talk about awareness. So we all know, for those of you that are female sitting in this audience, what we go through so many different phases of life. Okay, as opposed to males that typically go through one phase, we go through many very uncomfortable phases. So the first phase is when we go through early childhood. Okay, the second phase is when we're teenagers, and then we have pregnancy, and then we become grandparents or we get older. So one of the biggest not problems, the challenges that we have as females is the constant ebb and flow of hormones. And does anybody know what hormone, okay, is very female related that is also related to bone health? Does anybody know? Yes. Estrogen, yes. So estrogen plays a huge role in bone density, which also plays a huge role in osteoporosis. So the reason also why it's really important for us as females to understand ergonomics, to understand our posture, our spinal health, and our bone health is because we go through these phases that then affect how dense our bone is. And in Singapore, we have actually the highest rate of osteoporosis in the world. Okay, the osteopenia, osteoporosis. Also, we have the lowest rates of vitamin D in the world. Does anyone know why that could be? Sorry? Yes, we stay indoors. So we like to hide from the sunshine. We like to carry umbrellas. We like to, like full clothing outside. So we don't get enough sunshine, which is the number one benefit of sun is vitamin D. And vitamin D is critical to calcium going into your bones. If you take calcium and you do not take vitamin D, or you're not exposed to about 16 to 17 minutes of sunshine per day, the calcium is never going to get into your bones. It's just going to go straight down into the toilet. So you need to either supplement with vitamin D or you need to expose yourself to sunlight. So during puberty, we have many different changes in our hormones, okay? During pregnancy, this is why actually for those of you who have teenage daughters, spinal health is one of the biggest problems with teenage girls these days. I would say during puberty is when the spine starts to change the most. We see a lot of scoliosis patients who are in puberty phase. It tends to, spinal issues tend to run down the maternal line. So we have to educate from young. And then when we have babies, we typically, usually when we are pregnant, the vitamins and minerals tend to be shared with our children, okay? And during the later stages of life, this is when estrogen during menopause and perimenopause, for those of you who are in your 40s, this is when it tends to happen for about 10 years, the perimenopause stage starts to come. And then menopause is when you don't have your menses for a whole year. But 15 years before that, we could be going through these fluctuations of hormones, which is when estrogen dips down. When estrogen dips down, that actually affects our bone health, okay? Because estrogen plays a huge role in calcium deposits in bone mineral density, all right? So this is exactly the reason why women especially need to be concerned with their ergonomics, with their spinal health or posture as we go through our phases of life. Okay, so one of the things I was actually sharing outside with people is the shape of our pelvis. So when we are sitting in our chairs, typically female pelvises are much wider than males, as you guys probably imagine, is in order to bear children. So when we have a change in the structure of our pelvis, The chairs that are designed to hold ourselves up are typically, again, mostly designed for male bodies. So typically they could be narrow. Typically the seat pan could be too long for us. And so when we have pelvises that are shaped more wider, that actually causes our lumbar spines, our lower back, to be very curved in the back, more curved than normal, or sorry, more curved than our male counterparts. When our lower back is too curved like this and we don't have the proper support in our chairs, then that is what actually can cause a lot of lower back issues for females. Okay. And the same thing goes for these lovely things that we get to wear every day. Is these are over the shoulder boulder holders, which is what I call them. So what happens with this is the weight in front of our chest is all on our shoulders, okay? When you wear a bra. So when you don't wear a bra, we go home, and if you're like me, I just rip everything off and I just, feel so much freedom that way. When you don't wear a bra, you're actually using your body's natural ligaments and muscles to hold everything up. But when you wear one of these guys, it puts so much stress on your shoulders, right where the bra straps are, that the weight of your chest is all on your shoulders. And then, of course, that affects your neck. And I'm going to explain to you guys how on top of that, when we sit in front of the computer and our heads are down and our arms are forward, this is what causes a huge issue with women, especially in their neck and shoulders. Men tend to carry their stress in their lower backs. Women tend to carry our stress in our shoulders and our neck. Okay. So this is just, this is the reason why we have to, as a female, we have to really understand the way that our body is designed and why certain things that we do at the workstation needs to be changed in order to take care of our health. So now we're going to dive into the good tips here. So ergonomics for the female. So we're going to talk about how you should be sitting in from your computer, from your feet all the way up to your head, starting with the bottom. So I'm going to actually have Dr. Tao, if you don't mind coming up. I'm going to have her just sit here so that I can explain to you guys how you should be sitting. So I'm going to just have you sit here first. Okay, so footwear. So everybody knows that females tend to wear what? Heels, yes. So heels is actually one of the worst things that we can do for our body. It makes our legs look amazing, but it causes so much problems with not only our feet, but all the way up to our back. And why is that? Is because when you lift your heels up, just even by 1 cm, even for those males who wear a heel lift by 1 cm, it causes a shortening of your calf muscle and then all the way up to your hamstrings and all the way up to your back. So just by doing this, not only does it tighten the entire the back part of your body, but it also curves your lower back like this. So it pitches your pelvis forward and then your lower back curves too much. So first of all, the first thing you want to do is slip off your heels at your computer stations. If you can bring slippers, you could bring, socks or something to wear underneath your desk. That is very beneficial. So you want to put your both feet flat on the floor, just like Dr. Tao here. The feet should be hips distance apart. It should not be wider. It should not be narrower. It should be hips distance apart. For some females, because your hips are wider, it might feel better to kind of widen your knees outwards, but we want to kind of stay neutral to our pelvis, to our hips. And you want to, again, put your feet flat on the floor. Your knees should be at 90 degrees of your hips, okay? Actually, I'm going to have you turn, this way. Okay. So from the side view, your knee should be at the same level of your hip, okay? It should not be higher. So most people, I would say, because you're maybe smaller frame, this is usually not an issue, but for those people who have very long legs, what happens is that if your knee is higher than your hip, what happens to that curve in your lower back? So we should have 3 curves in our spine: a curve in the neck, a curve in the mid back, and a curve in your lower back. Once the knee goes any higher than the hip, what happens to that curve in the lower back is that it starts to flatten like this, okay? When that curve starts to flatten, this is where about 45% of our body weight goes on the last 2 bones of our spine, L4 and L5. And this is why the discs start to wear down over many, many years. We see a lot of For instance, not only desk-bound workers, but taxi drivers, a lot of people who commute, a lot of moms that are chauffeurs for their kids, they sit all day long in the car. If you guys think about a car, your butt is always lower than your knee. This is the worst position, okay? Because it flattens out that lower back. So going up, your knee should be at 90-degree angle, and your knee should be in front of the chair. So we're gonna take, so like for Tao here, Dr. Tao, she has one hands width distance away from the front of the chair. So I want everybody to do this with me. So scoot up, okay? Most of you guys are like, you're watching a movie like this, okay? That is the worst position. Everybody sit up nice and tall, okay? Look and see if your knee is lower. So these chairs are also not made well, right, for ergonomics because your butt is probably lower than your knee. If you feel like this at home, if you feel like this at work or in the car, the solution DIY is to put a pillow underneath your butt to raise your butt up so that your hip is higher than your knee. Okay? So everybody do not put the front of your chair pressing on the back of your knee. Just like an airplane, deep vein thrombosis or the issue of sitting for too long in an airplane will cause a blockage. It could cause a release of a like a blockage in your artery. The same thing when you're sitting for the computer. It's the same principle. So just make sure that your knee is not touching the front of the chair, okay? This means that you're not using your backrest. If you feel uncomfortable like this, and these chairs are a bit too low, but generally if Dr. Tao put her feet back this way, okay, the center of gravity would be kind of in her benefit, so she sits more upright. If she put her legs in front of her like this, she probably feels like she has to go back this way, like your center of gravity shifts, right? So if you feel like uncomfortable sitting up, just tuck your feet back behind you underneath the chair, okay? But without the chair touching the back of your knee. Does that make sense? Yes? Okay. Okay, so first of all, you only keep your back against the chair, the backrest, when you have to rest. Do not use the chair backrest when you're working. I know it's funny because we mostly like, oh, it's so comfortable like this. But it's counterintuitive to the shape of your spine, okay? So if you use the backrest, only use it when you have to rest. Like you have, 5 minutes, you could do a breathing exercise, you could lean back, you could relax, close your eyes, and then you sit up again, okay? So one of the reasons why also, for those of you that realize that the more you sit, the more belly weight we start to accumulate, really, is because when we're sitting, we are not using our postural muscles so much to keep us upright, especially if you're leaning back. Everything is shut off, okay? So when you do this, when you sit upright, you're actually toning that six pack that's deep inside of there. I guarantee it's there if you sit upright. Okay, so you want to also limit, so everyone put their hand in the back here. Make sure there's a little curve in your lower back, okay? So sit up, keep sitting up. I know it's really hard to, even just the last 2 minutes, some of you are like, oh my gosh, I can't do this. So the reason could be is because your spine might be stuck hunched forward like this, and it's very difficult to just be upright. Okay, I know a lot of teenagers like this as well. Okay, so you want to limit the rounding of your chest. So the chest should be open, shoulders should be back. You should be sitting on your sit bones. So everybody put their hands underneath your butt and sit on your sit bones. Like tuck your hands, sit on your hands. Sit on your hands, okay? So you should be feeling two bones there, right? The right one and the left one. So if you can feel more weight on the right side, then you might be tilting to the right. If you feel more weight on the left, you might be tilting to the left side. If you are putting all of your weight on one side, this is exactly the reason why people tend to have like sciatica, nerve pain on one side of their body, because you are leaning unknowingly on one side than the other. Okay, so when you're sitting, you should be sitting on these sit bones. These sit bones should not be in front of you like this. So you're sitting on your tailbone. You should be right in the center. Okay? Okay, now you guys can take your hands out. Okay, so let's talk about your keyboard. This is very important, especially for those of you, carpal tunnel, hand numbness, arm weakness, headaches, shoulder tension when you go home, like, why do my shoulders hurt so bad? Why does my neck hurt? It could be how you're sitting at the computer with your keyboard. So everybody pretend like they're typing on a keyboard. Okay, now without moving your hands, look and see, is your wrist above your elbow? I would say 90% of you are like this, okay? Because your brain knows that this is the position you're usually in, when in fact, your wrist should be lower than your elbow. Your neck and your shoulders need to be relaxed, like you're playing the piano, okay? It should not be like this. If your wrist is high, like this, you actually cause a tightening of your muscles in your forearm, your upper arm, and then your neck and your shoulders, as if you're lifting your shoulders up for 8 hours a day. It really makes a big difference with the keyboard position, okay? So the keyboard should be low. This is why those sliding, those keyboard holders are very important. If you do not have those, which I don't see a lot anymore for some reason, I would lift up the chair so high that your feet might dangle on the floor. If they dangle, you put a box or you put your feet on like books or something, okay? This is super, super important. It makes a huge difference, just this little tweak in your computer station. So your arms should be at 90 degrees. Your arms should be parallel to the floor. Shoulders, fingers, arms should be relaxed, and your wrist should be in line with your forearms. So your wrist should be in line with your forearms, which means your wrist should not be curved like this. It should not be curved like this. It needs to be like this. It needs to be level like that. Does that make sense? Okay, because anything like this, you're actually compressing that carpal tunnel that's running. The carpal tunnel is like a tunnel, literally, that has nerves and arteries running through it and muscles and tendons. So if you've ever had mother's wrist, which is when you're holding babies like this, you know that the reason is because it's like this, okay? So you want to be in a neutral position. Okay, now let's talk about the monitor. So your monitor should be about one arm distance away. So if Dr. Tao put her arm up, the screen should be there. Okay, it should be not further or closer to you. Thank you. The top of the screen should be at your eye level. So if I just drew a line from Dr. Tao's eyes, it should be at the top of the monitor, not at the bottom, not so like this. So that if your eye level is at the top of the monitor, your eyeballs are literally just kind of going downwards a little bit. How many people have two screens, right and left? And how many people have three screens? 4? No, okay. So if you have two and you use two equally, those two screens need to be in the same position as each other. So it shouldn't be one screen in the middle and then one screen on the right. It should be the middle of the two screens need to be in the middle of your head, okay? Where your eyes are. So you shift from left to right. If you have a primary screen, then you use that primary computer monitor and then you shift the secondary to the right or to the left maybe every other week or so. So you're not only turning your head to one side. So the majority of people that we checked just outside before this talk, a lot of you are stuck rotated to one side. Your neck is literally rotated to one side, and then your eyes have to shift to the center, so your head rotates to the other side. Your neck goes one way, your head goes the other way. So this could be a reason that your computer monitor is set up so much that you are always leaning to one side. All the documents, the books, all the paperwork is on one side of your computer station. And so you're turning your head always to one side for 5, 10, 20 years. Okay? Okay, any questions at all? No? Okay, thank you. So what we're going to do is talk about interactive movement. So it's not just about sitting that is the problem, okay? Because if sitting were just the problem, then everybody who sits would have some kind of musculoskeletal issue or health issue. It's not just sitting, it's also how you are sitting, your posture while sitting, and then how much you're moving throughout the day. So can I get an idea of how many people in this room exercise or move once a week or more? Once a week or more. Good. Exercise. Twice a week or more? Good. 3 times? 4 times? Wow. 5 or more times? Awesome. So we should target about 3 to 4 hours, sorry, 3 to 4 times a week. And I'm not going to explain to you guys what kind of exercise is best for you, but just know that even if you exercise 6 times a week, say you do that, say 6 times a week, 1 hour each time, 6 hours of physical exercise every week, that is still not enough to negate the number of hours we spent sitting at our computer and then again sitting or lying down in bed, okay, or going home and sitting in front of the TV. So 4 to 6 hours a week of exercise is still not enough. So how do we incorporate this into our daily routine? Is by different movements, okay? So every 20 minutes, you should be standing for about 8 minutes, and then you move and stretch, which I'm going to explain to you guys now, for about 2 minutes. So every 30 minutes, something needs to shift and change in your work environment, how you're sitting, standing up, moving, stretching, etc., in order to prevent that breakdown with your health and your spine and your nervous system. So we're going to start to do some stretching today, okay? How many minutes do I have? You guys, oh my gosh. Okay, 5 minutes. So what we're gonna do is start with the neck and then we'll do the lower back. So I'm only gonna do a few. So some of you guys probably already do stretches, I would say. Some of you might not. So first of all, we're gonna do the neck and shoulders. So everybody take their right hand and just mirror me, put it on the side of your head. And you're gonna do a gentle, do not yank your head like this. So just a gentle stretch. Okay. What I want you to do with the other hand is put it behind your back or sit on your other hand. So it kind of stretches a bit more. And stretch. Good. Relax your neck and relax your shoulder. And then change. So the other side. And stretch. Okay. One side might feel a bit tighter than the other side. And that, again, for those, you can go ahead and relax. For those people who are rotated to one side, tilted to one side, this is the reason why. Okay. And then what I want everyone to do is find there are two little collarbones here, these two chest bones. I want you to put your hand or both hands, I can't because I'm holding this microphone, but put both hands across your chest and hold down the tissue, hold down your muscles here. Okay. So you're sort of like holding down the tissue. And then you're going to stretch. You're going to rotate your head to the right. So you should be feeling a stretch, okay? And then hold it down some more. Rotate your head to the left side. Look to the center. Kind of readjust your hands. So you're holding down a lot. And then tilt your head back up to the ceiling. This one is super, super important. Keep your mouth closed and relax the front of your neck, okay? Okay, and go ahead and relax, all right? What I'm going to do is ask you to hold this microphone for me. So I'm going to demonstrate the back. So how do we stretch the back is the question. So what I want everyone to do is just tuck your chin in like this. Take your other hand, hold the back of your head here, and you're going to push your chin back, meanwhile, pulling your head that way, forward. Relax your shoulders. Okay, everybody, I could tell is very, very like this. So you have to consciously, mindfully relax your shoulders. Thank you. Okay, and then relax. And so now we're going to stretch our lower bodies. So everybody sit like this. Okay. So even though you're sitting on your bums, your butt muscles get, yes, you have a question? Oh, 3 minutes. Okay. Okay. Okay, 3 minutes. Let's see. Okay, so put your hand on your knee and your other hand here. Keep your back flat. Do not roll down like this. So keep your back flat and just lean forward. Keep your eyes on me so you don't bend your head down. Lean forward. Relax your crossed leg. So relax the leg that's crossed. Relax the butt. You should feel a stretch in your thigh and your butt, okay? Go as forward as you can. Pretty tight. Yes. Okay, can you come up and do the other side? The other side probably is tighter. Usually we tend to stretch the stretchy leg first, and then because we're avoiding the tight side. Okay, same thing. Push your knee down and just lean forward. Do not bend forward, just lean forward. So this is a really good stretch every 20 minutes. You just could do this and you can continue typing, etc. on your computer, do your work, etc. Okay, so this is something that's super important because a lot of people don't stretch the back of their legs. And this is also a big cause of lower back ache, pelvis issues, sciatica, numbness and tingling down the legs, etc. So you want to take posture breaks every 20 minutes. It is critical. It is important not only for your spinal health, musculoskeletal health, but posture is, this is why mortality rates increase the longer we sit, is because it's also related to heart disease. Because when we are sitting like this, all of the rounding of the shoulders is putting pressure on our hearts, which is the left part of our body. When we are like this and we're putting pressure on our hearts, your heart actually has to work harder to pump the blood through your body. Okay. Your lungs are actually located on the top of your collarbones here, the top of your lungs. So if you are rounded like this, it's going to directly affect the amount of oxygen you're getting, which is also the reason why, if you want an instant energy boost throughout the day, you just correct your posture and you will feel like you can breathe better, you have more brain power, you have more energy, you can have more work productivity, emails get taken care of much easily. So you really want to make sure that you guys are doing this throughout the entire day, to ensure not only just like, spinal health, but it really has to do also nowadays with brain health. How your brain is sending messages through the middle of your body is through, first of all, your neck and your shoulders, your lower back. So if you guys have not had the chance to check in with your posture, it's like a big wake up call. Outside, I believe Judy's out there with an iPad. She can help take your posture photo so that you can see for yourself. And we will stay back for a little while to help you interpret why your posture looks like that, what could be going on, and explain to you guys like what is exactly happening from your feet all the way up to the back of your head. Okay, so typically, just to end on this, I want to show you guys how much weight is added just by bending your head down. So we add about 60 pounds of more weight to our neck by just bending our head down to look at our hand phone. So this is, again, kind of circling back to technology. We cannot throw away our phones. We cannot not work on the computer. So we have to really be responsible on making sure that we ensure proper ergonomics, proper posture, and movement throughout our entire day. Okay, you guys? So just these are the 4 key points that I talked to you guys about. I can spend hours on the subject. We typically go, so for those of you that can reach out to us, we can come to your company and do an entire hour-and-a-half talk on breaking down the components of your workstation. We go to every single desk and every single employee and do a tailored, customized report on what everyone is doing, because we should not be suffering every week with a headache or having back pain all the time. You cannot ignore your health. It is one thing that I want to just kind of impress upon, is that you never want to wait for pain and symptoms to come, because that is usually when it is too late. So I encourage all of you here, for those of you who feel like they have no symptoms, they feel healthy, this is the best time to take care of your health, is when you don't have pain and symptoms. Okay? Thank you guys very much. We will be outside to answer any questions, myself, Dr. Tao, Dixon, and Judy. And we are here to help you guys. So thank you.